So now I was getting headaches. You know, the base of my neck, these annoying headaches. Severely irritable. Like one time, I was literally cruising the streets for a fight. I was ready to fight anybody. Someone bumped me in the street, I was ready to fight or argue. If anybody looked at me wrong in the checkout line, argue. My detox symptoms mimicked sickness in terms of flu, you know, in that initial stage. A lot of what I went through was lethargy. I was very lethargic, very depressed. And I knew it was linked to the process. I knew it just wasn't fruits making me sick or anything in fruits making me sick, you know. I knew it was because of what I was doing, and the process was bringing up these detoxification symptoms. I had little 5-year-old children, you know, come to me and say, "Why are you so skinny?" And that hurt me so much. I didn't deal with the whole weight loss thing very well.
After having gone through the process of being a fruitarian to liquidarian and arriving at the state of being food-free, and with the knowledge that he had acquired during the entire process, Jericho is able to look back and explain his challenge with the loss of weight.
The whole ego thing got to me big time. And in actual fact, what it was the whole weight loss thing was basically, I had built up water and fat over the years. What I was eating became toxic, so my body retained water to neutralize the toxicity. And, you know, I had fat, and I was inflamed. And anybody that's gone raw and been flip-flopping between raw and cooked will know that you swell. You get inflamed. And I had so much experience with going back and forth from fruitarian to cooked food. I knew and I saw myself inflame. Just like that. I saw the effects and I recognized that I was inflamed all those years back then. It wasn't muscle, I was just inflamed, you know? And that's what I was getting rid of. When I went fruitarian and I gave up cooked food, I was no longer inflamed. I was no longer retaining water because there was no need.
After eating cooked foods his whole life, Jericho's body now needed time to rid itself of all the toxins that had accumulated.
So that's what it was. My body was releasing fluid, liquids that it had retained for so long. And if you can imagine retaining liquid for so long, can you imagine how dirty it is? And all that stuff's inside you, along with the fats, the partially digested waste. You know, toxic as heck. Stuff that's not even coming out. Because I've also learned from the cleansing that not everything you cleanse comes out one time. You know, not even with the saltwater flush. That's why you have to do it for 7 days. Our intestines are distorted because of eating cooked foods. Our organs are distorted, overloaded. So not everything comes out. Some stuff gets hidden in nooks and crannies in your intestines and never comes out. You know, until you get shrinkage and everything goes back to its original state.
Despite the challenges that he had to go through physically and mentally, Jericho never once felt he was in any danger or that he had to seek medical help.
I took the weight loss like it was blind faith. I didn't even think about it. It hurt me, it worried me in terms of, you know, I don't look so hot. You know, it was never like a health thing. I was worried about my health because I never felt in danger. I never felt, you know, sick. I felt like I was going through a process, a very extreme process, but I never felt intuitively that I was sick and I should go seek help. You know, I always felt like, you know what, ride this out, you'll be okay. You know, I always felt that.
Unlike other fruitarians who had some trouble with their teeth, Jericho's experience was different.
it just transformed my mouth. It was so much fresher, so much better. My teeth were firmer, you know, because I wasn't building up all that plaque from cooked man-made foods. So I wasn't having the problems that people were saying. And like I say, I was exposing myself to citric acid on a regular basis. But having said that, I did experience shifting. My teeth would shift because I was no longer inflamed. And it was then I realized that we are inflamed at every level. You know, it's not just, you know, skin or your body, it's also your mouth is inflamed. So when everything goes down, back to its original size, everything starts to shrink and shift, and, you know, especially with teeth, your teeth start to move. And I think that's where the whole pain thing comes from. I had toothaches for a limited period. In fact, as a fruitarian, my teeth were in better shape. I spent probably 3 years fruits, solid fruits, and orange juice, citrus. I juiced citrus. That was at the latter stages of fruitarianism, when I basically mastered fruitarianism. When I was going on to liquidarianism. And I experienced nothing but rejuvenation with my teeth, my whole mouth. At that point, a lot of my detox, I'd already done the hardest part, you know. So everything was kind of on an even keel in terms of, you know, experiencing body odor, bad breath and stuff like that. My mouth had never felt better. It had never felt better.
From fruitarianism, Jericho naturally transitioned to liquidarianism. This time, the process was a lot easier, since he had gone through most of the tough parts of detoxification during the fruitarian stage. Greetings, compassionate viewers. Today we continue with our special feature on the breatharian personal fitness guru, Jericho Sunfire. In this series, Jericho talks in depth about the process he went through to become a breatharian. He did not consciously make the decision to become food-free. It just happened naturally. His journey to living solely on the cosmic energy, or prana, began with fruits. Then, from fruitarianism, Jericho naturally transitioned to liquidarianism.
I had no plans of transitioning to liquidarianism. I only found out about liquidarianism once I mastered fruitarianism. And then I learnt that I had already been transitioning to liquidarianism naturally anyway 3 years prior to actually mastering fruitarianism. One thing people forget or don't even know about is that once you're transitioning, the whole transitioning process, the initiations overlap. So once you're halfway through, for instance, mastering your fruitarian initiation, you're already starting your liquidarianism initiation.
Jericho discovered that he was already undergoing a subtle process of transitioning to liquidarianism during the last 3 years of his fruitarian lifestyle.
I was doing fruitarianism for about 10 years. So, you know, within that 10 years, the last 3 years of it was literally transitioning to liquidarianism. And like I say, I didn't even know about liquidarianism until I saw it on the internet, when I realized, hey, that's what I'm doing.
As he transitioned to living just on the juice of fruits, the process was a lot easier, since he had gone through most of the tough parts of detoxification during the fruitarian stage. This time it was more of a spiritual experience and development.
I did experience the conditioning, the mind games again, you know, because think about it, my mind cooperated with me. I didn't beat my mind. My mind